Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm Rory McLennan coming to you from Glasgow, Scotland. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. In response to a request from Ukrainian Bishops, Pope Francis expressed his desire that during the month of October, the Rosary be dedicated to peace and reconciliation in Ukraine. The Holy Father said that there is a need for more prayer and an end to the conflict in the country. The request was made during a meeting with the bishops of the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church, who are attending their annual synod in Rome. The Pope also entrusted the sorrows of Ukraine to the Virgin Mary on the Feast of her Nativity on September the 8th. In a letter published this week, the US bishops are criticising what they perceive to be flaws in proposed government regulations intended to address alleged discrimination against LGBT people in programs receiving money from the Federal Health and Human Services Department. The Office of the General Counsel at the US Conference of Catholic Bishops warned that the notice of proposed rulemaking reinterprets some federal anti-discrimination statutes in a way that could create conflicts between the rule's requirements and Catholic teaching in the operation of Catholic charities. According to the letter, the rule imposes unconstitutional conditions on participation in government programs, which threatens their capacity to carry out Catholic humanitarian services. The letter said the proposed rule reflects anthropological premises that are simply not true. A US government commission has charged that Vietnam reneged on its pledges to guarantee religious freedom. That's ahead of US President Joe Biden's trip to the nation on the 10th of September. The Hanoi government has reportedly given more space in some areas for religious expression since Washington removed Vietnam from its list of countries of particular concern regarding religious freedom in 2006. This was mentioned in a report released by the US Commission on International Religious Freedom. The report added, however, that recent crackdowns on civil society increased pressure on independent religious communities, reports of forced renunciations of faith, and other growing religious freedom violations add to a clear reversal in that once positive trajectory. When Mr. Biden visits Hanoi, Washington hopes to deepen diplomatic ties there, although analysts note that collaboration may be hampered by human rights issues. Pope Francis will meet virtually with college students from South Asia as part of the Building Bridges initiative on the 26th of September. This will be the third in a series of conversations with young people from various countries. The event, entitled Building Bridges Across South Asia, is meant to be a response to the Pope's call to become a more synodal church. The event will be live streamed on YouTube and accessible in English, Spanish and in Hindi. The virtual conference makes it possible to bring together varied marginalised communities that are struggling with issues such as unemployment, poverty and violence. Pope Francis has invited these students to engage in meeting, listening and discerning so as to avoid descending into useless and unproductive discussions. 4 Catholic healthcare institutions in Italy have agreed to pool their resources in the areas of research, care and medical training in response to Pope Francis's invitation to boost cooperation to provide people affected by various diseases with scientifically advanced therapies. The collaboration agreement was signed at the Holy See's Secretariat of State in the presence of Cardinal Secretary of State Pietro Parolin by the institutional heads of the Bambino Gesù Pediatric Hospital, the Agostino Gemelli University Polyclinic Foundation, the Gemelli Isola Tiberina Hospital, and the Catholic University of the Sacred Heart. The Episcopal Conference of Poland's team of bioethics specialists has rejected the claim that they wanted to suggest mental disorders of the mother as a reason for abortion. The group released a statement in response to the growing sentiment of the public that the threat to a pregnant woman's mental health is a premise that supposedly justifies the legality of abortion. In Poland, abortion is only legal in situations involving rape, incest, and threat to the mother's life or health. Candidates running in regional elections in Colombia on the 29th of October are being encouraged by the United for Life platform to sign the Commitment for Life, which calls for promoting laws that support the family, women and unborn children. Around 39 million voters will elect the governors of 32 departments, 418 members of the departmental assemblies, as well as over 1,000 mayors and other local officials. On its website, United for Life indicates that the Commitment for Life is a campaign of citizens for citizens and does not belong to any political party. Rather, it seeks to know and promote all pro-life candidates who sign the Pact for Life, regardless of the political party or movement to which they belong. Newly ordained priests of the Nigerian Catholic Diocese of Lokoja have been exhorted to get ready for the difficulties that modern priests encounter in their vocation. In his homily during the ordination of 5 deacons to the priesthood, Father George Ehusani warned against clerical triumphalism in the modern world. Father Ehusani said that the 5 deacons who were being ordained priests began their ministerial priesthood amidst the growing scourge of crass materialism, senseless consumerism, and an unprecedented degree of vanity and vainglory. He called on the newly ordained priests to prepare for the impact of those features of the world. Despite protests from pro-life and anti-abortion organisations around the country, Mexico's Supreme Court on Wednesday struck down a federal law criminalising abortion. This reaffirms an earlier ruling that criminal penalties for abortion were unconstitutional. The new verdict will allow the federal healthcare system to provide abortions in the predominantly Catholic country. In the United States, the Supreme Court struck down the national right to an abortion in 2022, and nearly half of the 50 states have restricted access to abortion dramatically. The Conservative Party in Denmark has mooted measures to prevent divorces, such as reserving about €4 million for municipalities to offer advisory services to families that are falling apart. Mette Abildgaard of the Conservatives said every third child experiences their parents going through a divorce. Abildgaard believes it is better to prevent divorces than invest in the family court to make divorce procedures smoother. In addition, the Conservative Party has asked for subsidies for parents who want to care for their child at home for at least 12 weeks. The parish church of San Jose in Navotas in the Philippines witnessed a unique event on the 6th of September. As many as 500 children of various age groups received baptism under the auspices of the Tulay Ang Kabataan Foundation. This foundation works among the poorest of the poor who live on the streets of Metro Manila in order to bring them to church and the sacraments. Volunteers of the foundation worked among the homeless families and prepared the children for baptism. The ceremony was conducted by the foundation's president, Bishop Pablo Virgilio David, its founder, Father Matthew Daucher, and other priests. Speaking on the occasion, the bishop said he was overwhelmed with joy as the church was going out to bring people to Jesus. Father Daucher said that through the mass baptism, there are 500 more children of God. The area where the ceremony took place is one of the poorest in Metro Manila. A new documentary by a United Kingdom-based broadcaster has supported a claim by Sri Lankan church officials that senior government officials played a crucial role in engineering the deadly terrorist attacks on 2019 Easter Sunday, which took the lives of 272 people and wounded hundreds more. A Dispatch's special reveals new evidence on the bombings. High-placed whistleblowers allege top-level complicity by officials inside the Sri Lankan government. The documentary is centred around the revelations of a whistleblower named Hanzir Azad Maulana, who is attached to a Sri Lankan paramilitary group. He accuses senior officials close to the politically powerful Rajapaksa family of facilitating the bombings to create a sense of insecurity in the country and plotting to come to power on the back of national security concerns. The United States has imposed sanctions on a Sudanese paramilitary commander for human rights abuses committed by his troops in their months-long conflict with Sudan's army. The US Treasury accused Abdel Rahim Hamdan Dagalo of leading a group of soldiers responsible for the massacre of civilians, ethnic killings, and the use of sexual violence. Sudan plunged into chaos almost 5 months ago when long-simmering tensions between the military and the Rapid Security Forces escalated into open warfare. In a parallel statement, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that the United States was also imposing visa restrictions on another paramilitary commander, Abdul Rahman Juma, barring him from entering the country. A statue of St. Andrew Kim Tae-gon, the first Korean native Catholic priest, was erected at St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican City on Tuesday. The statue is at the outer wall of St. Peter's Basilica, adjacent to the entrance to the Vatican grottos where many former popes are buried. This marks the first occasion in which a statue of an Oriental saint has been placed outside the walls of St. Peter's Basilica. Pope Francis granted permission to the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Korea to erect the statue to mark the saint's 200th birthday. The consecration ceremony to celebrate the installation of the statue will take place on September the 16th at St. Peter's Basilica, presided over by South Korean Cardinal Lazaro Yu Hyung-sik after a Thanksgiving Mass. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us again next time for more, and do be sure to visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.